Good afternoon, I'm Gerg Cahiles sitting in for Mike Rodriguez. Today on Newsfeed Noon. A relief for motorists as a huge oil price rollback is expected next week. President Bongbong Marcos vetoes a bill granting Filipino citizenship to controversial Chinese entrepreneur Li Duan Wang. Pope Francis, who is taking 2 months rest, makes a surprise visit to St. Peter's Basilica. And a shake-up in Italian luxury as Prada buys its rival Versace. We begin with good news for motorists traveling during the Holy Week. Expect a huge rollback in oil prices. Based on the 4-day trading, gasoline could go down by as much as 3 pesos and 75 centavos per liter starting April 15. Diesel prices could decrease by up to 3 pesos and 40 centavos per liter, while kerosene 3 pesos and 50 centavos per liter. The Energy Department says factors for the rollback include escalating U.S.-China trade tensions, which have led to fears of recession and reduced demand for crude oil. Travelers already rushing to major ports and terminals in the country for the Holy Week break. Let's get an update on how authorities are managing the travel exodus. Paulo Barcelon joins us live from Quezon City. Paulo, what can you tell us?
Gerg, early this morning, the MMDA inspected several terminals along EDSA in preparation for the Holy Week. And since Wednesday, Gerg, travelers have been rushing to air, sea, and land terminals as they try to avoid the Holy Week exodus.
Travelers like Ian, Wilma, and Annabel have already started to go to ports like the one in Batangas. They say they're trying to avoid the Holy Week rush.
Nabiglan lang po graduation ng panganay ko. Talagang mahirap po pag sumabay sa dahil bukod sa masikip na mahirap ng magdala ng mga bagahe.
Like in Sabang, there's about 35 different dive locations, and Verde Island obviously is one of the paramount places to go. So
the Philippine Ports Authority is expecting over 1.7 million passengers across seaports from April 12 to 20. A big chunk of that number is expected in Batangas, also the country's largest port. Ferry and fast craft tickets to key tourist destinations like Puerto Galera are already fully booked, while trips to Mindoro areas are still available. The PPA says around 25,000 passengers per day will be expected in Batangas Port, triple its 8,000 capacity. Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon says ticketing systems should be made digital to avoid travel hassles and long lines that extend to the road outside the port.
Pinasabihan ko din si GMJ, kailangan kausapin yung shipping lines with Marina na kailangan maaga magbukas, lalo na pagka Holy Week. Alam naman nilang nagdadagsaan ng mga pasero, kaya pinasabihan ko na rin itong mga shipping lines natin na dapat maaga magbukas.
The Coast Guard and Marina, meanwhile, are working with the PPA to ensure that vessels are not overloaded. They are also checking on foreign passengers.
Wala namang discrimination, but of course with this development, ay mas paigtingin natin yung pagmamanman sa kanila. I-check natin during boarding yung mga identifications nila.
In the country's main airport, passenger buildup is also already starting to increase. NAIA operators say the Holy Week rush will exceed the airport's daily traffic of over 150,000 passengers. As such, parking spaces have been increased and dedicated lanes for public transport are already set up.
Kung kinakailangan magbuka sila ng 4 hours before para hindi na magsila ang mga passengers natin, ay mangyayari na yan. So, with that, yung improvements natin sa mga parking, even at 157,000, ang confidence level namin ay mataas na walang makamanage natin ng gusto itong Holy Week season na to.
Meanwhile, the Parañaque Integrated Terminal Exchange is already experiencing the Holy Week rush with 2.5 million passengers expected since April 9 and until April 23. The MMDA says it will deploy a traffic management plan to ensure the smooth entry and exit of passengers.
Gerg, back here in Quezon City, the MMDA's inspection earlier included a drug test for the drivers and conductors of the different passenger buses, and we're still checking on the results if any of the drivers or conductors who were in here tested positive for illegal drugs. Now, we're reminding travelers, regardless of whether you're going through a land terminal or boarding a ship or an airplane to at least go to your terminals early, and if possible, book your tickets online to avoid going in to walk-in counters or long lines when you go to the terminals when you travel this Holy Week. Gerg?
Thank you, Paulo Barcelon, reporting live from Quezon City. Senate President Cheese Escudero urges Senator Amy Marcos to refrain from using the chamber as a platform for her personal political objectives. That's after she sought to detain a special envoy accused of lying in the Senate probe on former President Rodrigo Duterte's arrest. Hannah T. with the details.
The Senate is not a tool for self-promotion. This is Senate President Cheese Escudero's statement after defending his decision to release Ambassador Marcos Lacanilao just 2 hours after he was cited in contempt by the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations. The Malacanang official had been detained after Senator Bato de la Rosa moved to cite him in contempt, accusing him of lying about former President Rodrigo Duterte's March 11 arrest. Committee Chair Senator Amy Marcos approved the motion, despite admitting she wasn't familiar with the procedure for detention and has never cited a resource person in contempt before.
As chance, hindi mo alam if nilabas sa Villamor si PRRD? Hindi mo alam?
Hindi po, Madam Chair.
Okay, there's a motion to cite you in contempt. I have to affirm. There being no contrary motion, we uphold the motion to cite Ambassador Marcos Lacanilao in contempt.
Lacanilao was then escorted by Senate Sergeant-at-Arms Roberto Angcan after the hearing was suspended. But Escudero later intervened, saying the committee failed to follow due process. Under Senate rules, any order to detain a witness must be cleared first by the Senate President. He says he never received the order and that detention without his approval was unauthorized. He later directed Lacanilao's release for legal irregularity and humanitarian reasons. The ambassador had to attend his grandfather's burial, but that did not sit well with Senator Amy. She earlier claimed that Escudero refused to sign the order. She slammed him for releasing a witness accused of blatantly lying and called it dangerous. Lacanilao was on the plane with Duterte to The Hague. In an ICC surrender form, he wrote "Do not know" in the section asking when the former president was turned over to a competent court, a key step under the Rome Statute. Senators questioned how he could be on that plane but not know if Duterte was brought to court.
Hindi mo pa rin alam na hindi siya dinala sa judicial authority?
Yes, Mr. Senator.
Hindi mo alam?
Yes, Mr. Senator.
So you're lying.
Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla backed Lacanilao and even asked the committee to reconsider.
We're writing a letter to reconsider, but we're also considering other legal options kasi apparently there are questions that can be raised about it.
The DOJ says a certification from the Prosecutor General was enough. It argued that local law RA 9851 was followed, not the Rome Statute, since the Philippines is no longer an ICC member. The contempt order may still be reinstated. Escudero has issued a show cause order for Lacanilao, giving him 5 days to explain why he should not be cited. Hannah T. Billionario News Channel.
President Bongbong Marcos vetoes a proposed law granting Filipino citizenship to controversial Chinese entrepreneur Li Duan Wang. The bill was intended to recognize Wang's contribution to the local economy, but the president cited national security concerns and questions over Wang's background. The Senate in January approved House Bill 8839 with a vote of 19-1. Senator Risa Ontiveros opposed Li's naturalization bid, citing his alleged ties to illegal pogo operations. A manhunt is underway for the man who shot Albuera Leyte mayoral candidate Kerwin Espinosa Thursday. Espinosa stands firm the incident will not derail his campaign. Here's a report from Francis Folbe.
A blood-stained chair is all that remains of the shooting incident at the gymnasium in Barangay Tinagan Thursday afternoon. According to the initial police report, Kerwin Espinosa, a candidate for mayor, was sitting on a monoblock chair while waiting for his turn to speak during a campaign program. When a gunman hiding in the ceiling near the stage suddenly opened fire, he sustained a gunshot wound to the shoulder. His running mate, Mariel Espinosa Marinay, and a young girl were also injured. They were immediately brought to the hospital. In a Facebook post by Roland Espinosa, he said the mayor was in critical condition and asked for prayers. Kerwin later went live on Facebook from the hospital, declaring he was safe from what he claimed was a life-threatening attack.
Kay dautan ang ilang plano, dili yun maglampuson. Kay naay gabantay nato. Gigamitan ako nilang sniper. Pagka mga talawan, maning mga tawhana, iampo na lang tamo, nabarangon mo sa mga tao sa Albuera.
Espinosa also thanked those to express concern for him.
Salamat kay kaninyong tanan nga nag-ampo kanako kanunay. Unya sa nagpasalamat sad ko nga nadakpan ang mga tao nga nagbuhat o ang gunman, ang sniper.
He said the incident would not derail their campaign. He also addressed questions during his live, including claims that the incident was allegedly staged.
Scripted. Oy, yabag ka. Yabag ka nga, mayroon kang scripted. Ikaw kuno'y pagpaigog bala. Tunto ni mo eh. So scripted.
The Police Regional Office 8 immediately condemned the incident. A hot pursuit operation has been launched by the local police and SWAT teams to track down the suspect. The motive behind the attack is still under investigation. It can be recalled that Kerwin's father, former Albuera Mayor Rolando Espinosa, was killed in a jail shootout back in 2016. They were both linked to the illegal drug trade during former President Rodrigo Duterte's term. Francis Polbe, Billionario News Channel.
Former PCSO board member and whistleblower Sandra Cam has passed away. She was 64. Cam courted controversy 20 years ago when she exposed the supposed involvement of government officials in wetting operations. In 2016, she ran for a Senate seat but lost. Cam served as PCSO board member during the term of former President Rodrigo Duterte. Tragedy in New York City after a tourist helicopter crashed into the Hudson River near Lower Manhattan. New York Mayor Eric Adams says all 6 people on board, including the pilot and 3 children, were killed. The aircraft reportedly lost control minutes after taking off, then hit the water upside down. An investigation by the Federal Aviation Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board is underway.
According to the manifest, aboard the helicopter were 6 people, 1 pilot, 2 adults, and 3 children. NYPD divers pulled 4 people from the crash site, and FDNY divers recovered an additional 2. 4 victims were pronounced dead on scene, and 2 more were removed to local area hospitals, where sadly both succumbed to their injuries.
At this time, all 6 victims have been removed from the water, and sadly, all 6 victims have been pronounced deceased. Again, we're praying for the families and our gratitude to the rescuers and the courage that was displayed in their dedication.
A taxiway mishap at Reagan Washington National Airport, where an American Airlines plane carrying at least 3 members of Congress was clipped by another American Airlines jet. No one was hurt and the damage was limited, but both planes were taken out of service to be inspected by maintenance teams. Last January, 67 people died in a mid-air collision between an American Airlines flight and an Army helicopter at Washington Airport. Pope Francis, who is taking 2 months rest, makes a surprise visit to St. Peter's Basilica. Rather than his usual traditional white papal attire, the pontiff wore black pants with striped blanket wrapped around his chest. He was also still in a wheelchair and had a small nasal hose. The 88-year-old Pope has been recovering at the Vatican after being hospitalized for 38 days due to double pneumonia. He was discharged from the hospital on March 23rd. Britain's King Charles and Queen Camilla have wrapped up a 4-day state visit to Italy. During the trip, the royals held a surprise private meeting with Pope Francis. Charles and Camilla had been previously due to make a formal state visit to the Vatican, but the plans was postponed as Francis continues his recovery. Charles also became the first British monarch to address a joint session of Italy's parliament. Charles and Camilla also attended a ceremony marking the 80th anniversary of Ravenna's town's liberation from Nazis. The state visit coincided with the couple's 20th wedding anniversary. We're taking a breather. Still to come, Tesla brings its electric cars to Saudi Arabia. Keep it here on Newsfeed at noon.
Good evening, I'm Pinky Webb.
The questions.
What did you uncover?
Kita natin yung sa IPO. There was a violation of Section 8 of Republic Act 9511.
The issues.
Is there a problem with that, the present setup of the syntax?
The reason there's a 5% increase is because of inflation.
We clarify matters.
All these government agencies were actually at the lowest. That's why it has to be, I hope that it will be addressed.
Pinky Webb is always on point.
Good morning, I'm Mikey Oreta and you're watching Business 360 where we break down the numbers.
This week we saw the S&P 500 make a new historic high.
Connect the dots.
I withdrew from the World Health Organization.
And give you the developments and insights you need to navigate, adapt, and lead. Real Corporation is funding artificial intelligence and data science research at the University of the Philippines.
Business 360, hosted by Mikey Oreta.
Keep it here on BNC,
the Billionario News Channel.
The Commission on Elections issues 2 new show cause order over alleged campaign violations. Our correspondent Joash Malimban joins us from Quezon City for details. Joash, who are these orders for?
Gerg, one of the orders was issued to dismiss Silang Cavite Mayor and now mayoral candidate Attorney Kevin Anarna. Anarna is being asked to explain his alleged gender-based discriminatory remarks against solo parents and an elderly woman during a campaign event held on March 29. Another so-called order was addressed to Palawan congressional candidate Abraham Mitra. Mitra is facing the vote-buying allegations after he reportedly sponsored limited free movie tickets to the public. This development come as the Comelec continues to stress accountability and fairness in the conduct of elections. On the same day, the Philippine Press Institute held a forum at Novotel in Quezon City to highlight the role of journalists in safeguarding electoral integrity. Discussions during the forum covered topics such as tracking campaign finance, interpreting election surveys, and the use of artificial intelligence in political reporting. Speakers emphasized the crucial role of the media in shaping the electorate. They also called attention to the rise of disinformation and its negative effects on democratic process. Comelec Chairman George Garcia was also present at the event. In his speech, Garcia expressed dismay over outdated provisions in the Omnibus Election Code. He cited the lack of specific laws against premature campaigning, political dynasties, and gaps in the regulation of the party-list system. Garcia reaffirmed the Commission's commitment to transparency in the upcoming midterm elections. He assured journalists that while the Comelec will not interfere with media content, it will continue to support efforts to deliver accurate and reliable information to the public. Gerg.
Thank you, Joash Malimban reporting from Quezon City. On to some sports news. The Creamline Coal Smashers showing their heart of a champion in the PVL All-Filipino Conference Finals. The Grand Slam Queen staged a thrilling 5-set comeback against the Petrogas Angels Thursday at the Smart Araneta Coliseum. Best player of the game, Bernadette Pons, went all out with 22 points, plus 12 receptions and 9 digs. The winner-take-all Game 3 is set for tomorrow, April 12th, at the PhilSports Arena in Pasig City. Pinoy pride on the world stage as former UP star JD Kagulangan makes history in Korea. He becomes the first player from Suwon KT Sonic Boom to earn the Korean Basketball League's Rookie of the Year award. Maymay garnered 57 of the 111 votes from the KBL press corps, edging out his teammate Park Sung-jae, who got 32. Kagulangan is only the second Asian Kata player to capture the KBL Rookie of the Year honors after RJ Abarientos accomplished that feat in 2022-2023 season. His former UP teammate Carl Tamayo was also named to the KBL Best 5 during the annual awards ceremony in Gangnam. Shaquille O'Neal and Dwight Howard have apparently put their feud to rest. Speaking on his podcast, O'Neal says he's accepting his now former rival's request ahead of this year's Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame.
Dwight Howard officially made it to the Hall of Fame.
That's awesome.
He also tweeted out, "I want Kevin Garnett, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Shaq to walk me out."
That's awesome. I'll do it.
What would you like to say to him?
I'll do it. I'll be there.
Really?
Of course, that's my guy.
Howard expressed his gratitude on X, saying it will be an honor for him to be joined in by an iconic group of players on the big night. The two had an on-again, off-again feud, which began in 2008. Aside from Howard, inductees in September's Hall of Fame ceremony include Carmelo Anthony and WNBA icon Sue Bird. We're taking another break. Up ahead, a shake-up in Italian luxury as Prada buys rival Versace in billion-dollar deal. The details when we return. Stay with us. Tesla of the world's richest man, Elon Musk, expanding operations as it launches in Saudi Arabia. The electric vehicle giant opened showrooms in Riyadh, Jeddah, and Dammam, featuring its Cybertruck and a redesigned Model Y sedan.
I don't see the USA's politics as something that will impact us here. It doesn't affect us, and they have the right to do whatever they want. But for us, we care about what affects us in the Middle East region.
And as mentioned previously,
the debut in the oil-rich kingdom comes as Tesla's global sales fall. It also signals improved relations between Musk and Saudi Arabia after a high-profile feud over a potential investment nearly a decade ago. Relations have fought in recent years, particularly as Musk gains influence in the Trump administration. A shake-up in Italian luxury as fashion brand Prada buys its smaller rival Versace from Capri Holdings. The deal was valued at nearly $1.4 billion. This comes as Versace has been operating at a loss, while Prada has defied a slowdown in luxury demand and is seeking to expand. Prada chairman Patrizio Bertelli says they aim to continue Versace's legacy and, at the same time, provide it with a strong platform. And before we go, ever wondered what it's like to be a K-pop idol? Well, a shop in Shanghai Mall is offering fans a chance to live out their dreams even only for a day. Guests can choose from more than 200 outfits, some imported from South Korea, and step into carefully designed sets. There, They can dance choreographed routines, sign imaginary autographs, and more. A full package including hair and makeup costs 329 renminbi or around 2,600 pesos. Its owner says the goal is to build a community where K-pop dreamers can feel seen, styled, and for a moment on stage.
This is the first idol experience center in the world. We've even had some customers from Korea. When they're on holiday in Shanghai, they will make an effort to come here and experience the idol life.
And those are the news this hour. I'm Gerg Cahiles sitting in for Maya Rodriguez. Keep it here on the Billionaire News Channel. Good afternoon.